Hello and welcome to the Two Burns Cinema Club podcast, the pilot episode of this podcast. And boy, it's been a long time coming, especially today. It's took us a long time to set this up, hasn't it? I should introduce my co-host and, of course, my brother, Mr. Ewan Burns. Welcome.
I'm happy to be here, to be honest.
So, yeah, this podcast is basically just going to be me and Ewan talking about movies and giving our opinions, basically, news, reviews, sort of a bit of everything, and more deep dives into certain franchises or topics about movies, as well as just your traditional reviews and news-based stuff. So the podcast will be a bit of everything, really, especially to start with. Anything you'd like to say, Ian, before we get into this?
I'm not sweaty right now.
Yeah, it's been today, like, we tried to do it on this computer that you can probably see behind me, but...
What time did we start?
Well, the podcast studio is booked for 2, and it's now 5 minutes past 4,
Yeah,
so...
I think that says it all, doesn't it?
But yeah, anyway, to get into today's episode today, we'll start with the news, shall we? Should we introduce what we're talking about?
A bit what's happened this week, really, and then... Well, the basis of this episode is we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into one of your favourite films. Probably more trilogies,
Well, not just films, franchises, I'd say.
This is probably your favourite, like, franchise,
Potentially,
isn't it?
yeah.
What is it? Go on.
Well, it's a quintuple of films. There's 5 films. It's not just a trilogy. But yeah, we are going to be unpacking Indiana Jones and that whole franchise, and we're going to be ranking what we think is 1 to 5. We're going to be going through in chronological order, giving our thoughts and opinions on each film and just the whole franchise as a whole. Maybe a few fun facts in there as we start our discussion. We haven't really talked about our opinions on each of the films, so we're just going to sort of...
We've tried to keep each other in the dark, haven't we?
Yeah. Before we get on to that Indiana Jones deep dive, we're going to start with the news. We're going to start with a hit show at the moment, a big, impactful, emotional show. Really big on Netflix at the moment. Did you say 65 million people?
Well, I've actually got some stats for this.
Oh, you got some stats,
So, in the opening weekend, it was... Well, the first episode got...
So we're talking about Adolescence here, guys.
Yeah, of course. It got 6.3 million viewers, which... No, 6.45 million.
In the opening weekend, yeah.
Yeah, and then... But in total, across everything, it has got 66.3 million.
That is some crazy numbers, to be fair.
Crazy. And I feel like just to really put it in perspective, I know, have you seen the Electric State film that's come out?
No, I've heard of it with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown.
Well, that was also a Netflix like film, and that try guess how much the budget was and kind of what it got in the kind of exchange.
Well, Chris Pratt Netflix film, Millie Bobby Brown. I say this is a few hundred million budget at least.
It cost them 275 million to make.
Yeah. And
that only got 47 million views. So I think that really kind of puts home how hard hitting and
I don't know how much Adolescence cost, but I can't imagine it's anywhere.
Got that as well for you. That it said it's about 10 to 15 million views per episode.
10 to 15 million pounds.
Yeah, pounds per episode.
Okay, so
it's still a decent amount, but you can see where that money's gone, especially.
I suppose it's on cameras, the technical ability, probably just the sheer amount of crew involved in the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it looks like an art house film, there's going to have to be a lot of elements playing into that one shot thing. So yeah, anyone who doesn't know about Adolescence, it's about a young boy who's convicted of, a 13-year-old who's convicted of murder. His house is raided by the police. His family don't know what's going on. He's arrested. And we're thrown into this sort of interrogation situation, episode 1, where he's sort of just this poor little boy who's been accused of a murder. And by the end of the episode, well, I don't think it'd be a spoiler to tell people that this isn't a whodunit. We find out at the end of episode 1.
I was going to say, we know from the first episode,
we know from the first episode what he's been accused of. He's been accused of murdering a girl. Is he a 15-year-old girl or similar age to him? And yeah, the whole 4-part series follows. It dips in and out of time between this proceedings. Really,
it goes on for 13 months, isn't it? That's what
13 months.
The last episode is 13 months after it's happened.
Yeah. So the first episode sort of follows that initial arrest. The second episode focuses on the school environment. The character, the main, I want to say protagonist, but he's not a protagonist.
Well, let's take it easy.
He's a murderer. It follows his school days, and what potentially that led up to doing what he did. And third episode is literally just him and a psychologist, the whole episode. And then the fourth episode follows the family. So yeah, I mean, do we want to talk about this in a spoiler sort of?
I think if you haven't seen it now, you should have watched it.
It's only been out 2 weeks.
No, but I feel it's not. It doesn't take long to watch.
I also think it's a show where even if you sort of spoil, you don't spoil. It's like an emotional roller coaster in itself.
The thing is, I thought this because I was like, kind of going into it, I didn't want to see anything whether he actually did do it, and the way it just kind of reveals it, like he has done it. Because I thought it would almost be like
a whodunit.
Yeah, maybe he didn't do it and he's been framed.
Yeah,
but it goes straight into, he's done it straight away. It's weird. Like the whole thing's just weird because you start to feel sorry for him, don't you? Which I feel like it's a mental.
He's so. I mean, the actor. I think it's Jamie. Ben Cooper. What's the guy?
Jamie. That's his name in the thing. I think it's Owen Cooper.
Owen Cooper. Yeah, it's a great performance. In that first episode, he seems so vulnerable. I mean, when the police raid the house, he wets his trousers. He has to change them, and the whole family seems sort of like just a wholesome, like regular family. Normal. They live in a normal house. And yeah, and that sort of carries on throughout the whole series. It's like how something like this can rock a family, rock a normal person, what seems a normal person, yet underneath so much more could be going on. And that is sort of the theme of the whole thing. So maybe we should just break down each episode to start with.
Yeah, I think
quickly. I mean, I know we've got other things to talk about, but this is a big thing.
I think it's such a huge impact in kind of British TV. I think this is the biggest thing we've had for a while, I'd say.
Yeah, you think maybe? Yeah.
I don't think much has got bigger than this.
In terms of like
the whole country's talking about it. Like it's been discussed whether it should be shown in schools.
I actually got some information on that. The Prime Minister Keir Starmer has backed plans from or campaigns from the creators, to potentially show this in schools. He said he's been watching it with his kids, and yeah, and I mean I could back that. I think we'll get onto sort of the topic in a second, but it's an important topic that perhaps hasn't been shown that much in TV or crime dramas before. So yeah, the first episode, like you say, follows the arrest. What did you think of the first episode?
For the first episode, I feel like everything just gets teased at you, doesn't it? You don't find out loads, but you find out enough just to keep you interested. That's what I mean, the way it finishes, that you find out you know what's happened, and you kind of like, it makes you want to keep going.
I think the main aspect of the first episode, I think out of the four, it's the one with the most tension. You feel the most not uncomfortable, because you definitely feel more uncomfortable in other episodes, but you feel so tense, you don't know what's going to happen next. Like, you're just seeing it feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be in this situation, but the one shot this is all filmed on makes you feel uncomfortable, and you're there and you can't escape it. Like when he's gets asked to undress in that room, and you can see at the start in this episode the family are convinced it's all a mistake, and there's that one scene near the end before the police officer come and interrogate. He asks his son, "Did you do it, son? Tell me." And there's sort of a pause, isn't there? And he's like, "You promise?" And again there's a pause, and he says, "No, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything." And he keeps this up through the whole thing. He didn't do anything. He keeps repeating that. But obviously we find out later that that's not the case. Episode 2 sort of moved on to the school environment.
I thought that was brilliant. I think that whole episode, the way it depicted the school was nothing I've ever seen in like a show. I don't know if you agree. Yeah, I mean, me and my girlfriend were discussing this, that it just felt realistic, like a school. Like a lot of programs get it wrong, I think. Yeah. It's like a bit hyper-realised. Like this felt very... Imagine in your school, someone's just been murdered by someone else in the school. The class is going to be unsettled. The teacher's going to be... I just feel like the tone of it is spot on. Yeah. It's what I imagine a school would be like in that kind of situation. And it also just hints at another reason for
potentially why Jamie has fallen into this hole that the education system may have let him down. It's not it doesn't go as far as point a finger at only education and be like, this is the reason he's done this, but like it definitely acts as a reason that
it makes you think.
A contributing reason, yeah. And you sort of got the subplot between the detective and his son. He's getting bullied, and then this is the first time in the series we're introduced to the sort of manosphere, sort of the Andrew Tate, red pill, incel sort of language. When he explains what's going on, he explains what the emojis mean, and this is sort of, I know it gives throughout these next few episodes, it gives potential reasons for why Jamie's become like this. I think the main reason is this internet culture. So it talks about an incel, and this is a whole debate in itself, and this is why it probably should be shown in schools. But yeah, this online world of like sort of toxic masculinity, of red pill, which is like sort of seeing the world how it is, that 80% of women are only attracted to, I think, 20% of men. Sort of this like based, realistic view of the world. Everything's bad. You're ugly. You have to be attractive.
Certain standards.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, I mean, I think talking about like the red pill myself, I think aspects that are good are self-improvement, but this whole thing that thinks about women is like, it's a toxic masculinity. I don't know what you think.
I mean, I was surprised right from the off. As soon as they dropped Andrew Tate's name, I was like, okay. I feel like I feel like you slowly start to understand where this whole thing's going, because I don't think it really reveals any of that in the first episode, whether it's going. But then you kind of start to.
Well, you don't know. That's the tense. You don't know why he's done it. You don't know if he's done it in the first episode.
And the whole point is that second episode, and they're trying to find out his motivations, aren't they?
Yeah, and also the background of just his school. Obviously, we have the thing with his friend as well, is potentially in the same boat as him in terms of this manosphere incel sort of world. He's the one we find out that supplies a knife. We never find out what happens to him, but we find out.
No.
Which some might say is a plot hole, but
I don't know.
Again, it's just like a contributing factor. The point of this show is not the court proceedings, is not the sentence. It's the motivation and it's the culture of young men.
I think we need to talk about that third episode.
Yeah, and
because
moving on to the third episode, this probably cements even further the sort of online internet culture, as well as tackling a few other issues. It's just basically this episode follows Jamie. He's now been, I think it's 7 months later, is it?
I think 7 or 6, something like that.
So the second episode takes place just after the first.
And he's in like a juvenile kind of
facility. The third is 7 months after. He's in the juvenile facility, that's right. And he's sort of, it just follows a therapist and him having a discussion. And this is to me when the one-shot thing like flourishes at its best, because you're stuck in this room, you're uncomfortable, you have to follow both these characters. It feels like you want to leave, but you can't. And every bit of the conversation is important. And I think it was brilliant. I think this was the best episode.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd think, when you only got one shot and you're in one, it's pretty much, it's in one room for that whole episode, isn't it? And you'd kind of think you'd get bored of this kind of, I don't know, like landscape.
Yeah.
But you just wait, it just holds your interest so well. And there's like that part where he just, even when he stutters over his words, and he just revealed that he does do it, doesn't he?
He says, actually, I didn't kill her, but I wish I did. And I think that reveals a lot. He's still, at this point, he's near the end of the episode, he feels like he's admitting too much. And you can even see that conflict with himself. He feels like he's telling this psychologist too much. And he says, I wish I didn't do it. I wish I did do it, but I didn't. He still, at this point, can't accept the fact he did do it. But yeah, and we can see like he starts to get attached to this therapy. He's like, do you like me? Do you think I'm ugly?
Yeah.
So we talk more about this feeling of how he views himself, this whole online culture, and we find out more that the girl was potentially a bully as well, or not a bully, but she was again commenting about this
his appearance
incel thing, calling him sort of an incel and someone who subscribes to that, even if he doesn't. But we can see how it affects this whole culture and whole mindset affects young men. also it talks about the dad, and he's like, well,
yeah.
was he mad
as a kid and stuff like this? I guess it's kind of to think whether he has these kind of same, because his dad, he gets angry, as we see in later episodes, and we talk about how, I think he mentions that like he breaks down his shed or something.
Yeah, but then again, there's anger, and then that's that. He never once says, oh, does he get angry? He doesn't say, oh, he hit me, or oh, he shouted at someone. His first thing was he tore down a shed.
Yeah.
I think that's
to say
a
that
normal level of anger for some. You're not pointing fingers necessarily at the dad there, are you really, from that statement? But yeah, that episode was so good, and I think it could be a play in itself. I saw people saying like,
yeah,
it was just riveting to watch. And that fourth episode, potentially not better than third episode, but I'd say the most emotional.
It's the most hard hitting, and I feel like you really see the deterioration of like, especially the dad.
Yeah,
like he's just
Stephen Graham's excellent in this episode.
It's when he's at B&Q or something, and he throws that paint all over his van.
Yeah, so this episode basically follows this follows the family and the effects. Sometimes when we see these crime dramas, it will follow the family of the person who got murdered, but here instead we see what it's like for the family of the person who's done the crime and how that impacts their life. And we see the dad getting abuse onto his van nonce, which has nothing to do with it really, but just shows how people get painted as the wrong picture, or just
because it's clear that he's not a bad man.
No. Again, and even through this on his birthday, you can see he's trying to have the best day possible given the circumstance. And then, like you say, they go to. It's not. I don't think it's B&Q.
It's like B&Q though, isn't it?
Is it like whole grains?
It might. I think it's that.
Yeah,
that rings a bell.
Yeah. Anyway, they go there, and then he meets a guy in there, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah." So he goes like, he says, "Oh yeah, I support you."
The worker in there sort of says, "I support you," and like, you see that angers him. He doesn't. He's like conflicted. He's like, "Okay, do I?"
Because deep down, he knows his son has killed her.
Well, that's the thing, and we'll get into the call on the way back. And then he sees the people that vandalise his van, and he sort of gets a rage mode.
We get a proper Stephen Graham performance then, don't we?
And he just sort of throws paint over his van. He threatens the kid, and they drive off in sort of silence. The family are clearly understandable of what's happened, but like annoyed as well. And we just sort of see the silence. It's that drive, we're like stuck with him the whole drive. It feels uncomfortable. And then
jeez, that was painful.
Jamie calls from the juvenile centre, gives them a phone call wishing his dad happy birthday, and it's just painful to hear the two worlds. You're speaking to him, and the conversations they're having are so like, "Oh, you doing okay? Oh, how's the food?"
Just small, like just average, like conversation, really, isn't it? It's nothing kind of high and mighty.
But on the other side, we've just seen what's happened to their world because of what Jamie's done.
Mm-hmm.
Their world's sort of fallen apart in many ways. And then the big reveal that the son says he's going to change his plea to guilty, even though we know the family probably knew he did it, especially the father, since he was there. He saw
the video.
He saw the CCTV footage at the end of episode 1, but that just confirms to him he knows his son's a murderer.
Yeah. I feel like that was the real nail in the coffin for him, wasn't it?
I mean, yeah,
he always had that faith that maybe I was wrong.
I saw a few people saying like, "Oh, how did he not know his son did it already?" You've got to think about the emotional aspect here. You don't want to accept
you
your
don't want to believe it, do you?
Has done it. Even if you saw it, you want to think there's another reason, there's something else. But then when Jamie accepts that he did it, you know that, yeah. And then like we sort of see the family. This is a good scene where the two parents discuss, could we have been better parents?
Yeah.
What went wrong? It's like, did we do enough? And I think this is the main thing from the show. It doesn't point the finger at one thing. It doesn't go, "Oh, the dad was abusive, he became like this." It doesn't go, "Oh, the school was such a bad environment." It doesn't go, "He's been influenced by online." It's a mix of everything.
It kind of just puts it into the atmosphere and goes, these are all the things that could be affecting him. Might be. It's not just one thing. It's all these different combinations that could have caused this.
Yeah, and I think, to me, what I take from it, I don't know about you, is the main thing was the internet culture sort of
Yeah.
thing, because the parents sort of couldn't believe that this was happening, because he was like getting locked up in his room, locking himself in his room, and they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what he was engaging with. Turns out perhaps he was engaging with bad content, bad stuff for his mind, that was changing his mindset and view on the world.
If you look on online right now, like, there's so many different influences that can put you down different paths.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's obvious, but like you're Andrew Tate, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of people would see that and go like, it would send someone down that path of kind of this mindset.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a rise, I think, in the last few years, like, of this red pill, masculine.
Yeah.
You've got this masculine energy, which in a way, I think it's all about finding the balance.
And
I think that is it. Online has become toxic, and that is sort of what this is showing. But then it also shows other aspects that maybe parents should be more on top of this stuff.
Yeah.
Even though maybe they can't. It just shows that murder and crime can impact a family that wasn't even expecting it. It feels deep because it feels like this could happen to you. It feels like it could happen to your kid in the future.
I think this is what got a lot of parents kind of wondering about, because there is this thing of, my kid comes home from school, then he goes in his room for the rest of the night.
Yeah, exactly. How many parents say, they go on their Xbox, they go on the computer, and they don't know what they're actually engaging with.
It's really hard to be able to know what they are engaging with, isn't it? So
I think like it was always the go-to is video games. Are video games causing this? But I don't
think that's the case.
I think the more harmful thing is real people, real voices, telling people ideology and certain ideology and world belief that they take into the real world. People know video games are fictional. When they're watching people like Andrew Tate, they think they know this is reality, and they think this is reality.
Yeah.
And why should a 13-year-old boy should not be thinking about sex or whether women, like, he should be stuffing Lego up his bum, like, or playing with Legos.
He should be playing Fortnite or something, shouldn't
Exactly. Not thinking, I'm ugly, people like me. But this just shows the culture potential we need to stop getting ourselves into. I don't know what we can do about it, but we need to stay on top of it and I think just a discussion about it like this helps a million ways.
Helping kids understand, you're being influenced from everywhere.
Yeah.
You need to try to understand what's a good influence and what's a bad influence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole thing's epitomised by that last scene. Stephen Graham enters the empty room of Jamie, knowing now his son is a murderer, and he just breaks down, understandably, into absolute tears, and he says, "I'm sorry, boy," or "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Because he's sort of saying goodbye to that kid that he once knew, that the hope that he was somehow not responsible, and he was sort of put into bed what he'd become, and he was sort of blaming himself. They sort of accepted that potentially they were a bit at fault, not completely at fault, but potentially they were slightly at fault for the situation. And but it's a heartbreaking series, and I recommend. I know we've sort of spoiled it there a bit, but even if you listen to this and haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
You could speak about this for hours.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've gone over probably the time we're going to speak about it, but
it's just such an eye-opening thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
But I think now
moving on to maybe something a bit more
not great,
but in a different light.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Snow White? Was it you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to just shit on this film, because I can't say that I've watched
Language.
it.
We're a child-friendly podcast.
Are we?
Yeah.
Is that where we just talked about a 13-year-old boy killing someone? So,
well, but
it's fine, isn't it? So I'm not going to go in there and just say, it's a bad film, because I haven't watched it. I'm not going to say that. But just judging from what everyone else is saying, it's not good. What do you think this has got on IMDb?
I'll be honest with you, I'm going to this blind. I've heard very little about this film because I don't think it's been marketed very far.
Well, this was the thing. They kind of gave up on the marketing.
Yeah.
They kind of had to accept their fate and go, we're going to have to take a hit here. I mean, I think the Rachel Zegler marketed herself.
Well, yeah. The problem I've seen, I think you know more about this topic than me, but from my point of view, I've seen Rachel Zegler talking about how bad the original is, how outdated it is,
how
we're not going to have a love story, basically bashing the character she's going to play. which I get. Everyone knows it's outdated, but can we not just remake something and not bash the original?
Yeah, I mean,
it's 1937 for goodness sake.
I honestly think Rachel Zegler is a really good actor. I would go that far. Was that Hungerbird? That Hunger Games. I thought she was so good.
I can't really see her.
And I've seen a lot of people saying from this film saying that she's really good in it. So, but I think she kind of set the film to fail.
I mean, yeah, we're seeing a world where films aren't just about the actors. The marketing's very important, and what they're saying in interviews, and what determines whether people see the film or not.
And this is like one of Disney's. You know, it used to be. This was their big thing. This one their. I mean, if we look into these live action,
they make money.
They make a lot of money, and I think this is. I thought the last 12 here. I mean, I'll tell you how much this film made. So this film, it's made 87 million worldwide. What do you think?
It's only been out a few days, isn't it?
Yeah, so we got to give that some credit. But what do you think the budget was on it?
400 million.
No, it was only 200 to be fair. But that could be.
It's going to be more than that.
Probably
Surely
it's going to be
marketing and stuff for that. It's got to be more than that.
But bear in mind, this is one of Disney's kind of what's it called, like trademark kind of.
Yeah, Snow White's like the first. Yeah, one of the first. Anyway, it might be the first proper. It's so old.
This is I've got from Snow White's position now from when it came out. This is like the rest of these live action films. So this is only domestic though. So for example, The Lion King made 191 million by now. Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast 174. Alice in Wonderland 116 million. Jungle Book 103. Little Mermaid. I mean that was meant to fail as well. That was kind of shoved away.
Is this after that opening weekend?
Yeah, this made 95 million. Aladdin 91. Maleficent 69. Cinderella 67. There's that Snow White and the Huntsman. I've never heard of that before. Made 56. Dumbo 46. Then we've got Snow White that made 43 million domestically at this point right now.
What? The original?
No, like the live action.
Oh, right.
These are the live action ones.
The new one. Yeah.
But all I would say, there's one more here, and that's Mufasa. And that made 35 million at this point. But that actually ended up doing quite well.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can write this film off straight away.
Can't write it off straight away.
And say it's just going to be complete bomb. Because
we'll have to see, won't we? But from what I see online, not many people are seeing it. Or that's the narrative that's being pushed online. I saw a video saying, oh, look, no one's in Snow White, and it was like an empty theatre. And whether that is the case, because people will be seeing this film, kids and families will be seeing a Snow White live action. But like you say, this should be getting Lion King numbers, this should be getting Aladdin numbers.
Yeah.
This is one of Disney's biggest intellectual properties of all time, one of their most famous things. But yeah, and you've got Gal Gadot as well. She's sort of been in trouble. Things about Israel and Palestine, so that's not helped.
I'd like to say also there's been a lot of stuff saying she just can't act.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if she's the best actor.
I don't think she's great, but she's
again, I don't think this is the most important thing here.
But I don't think it is.
But yeah, it does not look good for Snow White, but again, we'll have to see. And whether it's actually any good, what sort of reviews has it been getting?
It got a 1.8.
Out of what?
10.
By who?
On IMDb. But then it got Rotten Tomatoes. It got an audience score of 74.
Yeah, so it's hard to go off just these IMDb scores because this could just be right wing sort of. Again, I think everyone wants to bash it at the moment.
People want this to not do good. Don't
I think
they?
we'll have to let it settle out a few weeks, see where it is then. But yeah, I don't think there's much more. I don't think
we can jump to conclusion and go, this is a flop.
But maybe we'll revisit that in a few weeks and see where it is. But yeah, I mean, a general discussion about these live action ones, I think they need to just stop making them. We need to just stop repeating these same old formulas.
There can't be much more they can do. I mean, we have got Lilo and Stitch coming out this year. But you know what? I am actually excited about that because I love the first Lilo and Stitch.
Well, I know, but again, do we need it? It could tarnish it. If it's bad, it tarnishes its thing. The Lion King I know that made $1 billion, didn't it?
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised this Lilo and Stitch one has took this long. Because go into Primark.
Yeah.
Look how much Stitch stuff is in Primark.
Stitch is a very popular, it's toy
mad.
Or sellable thing. But yeah, I mean, it's because they make money. But eventually, well, maybe this will be, if this doesn't do well, maybe it spends a end of these live action remakes happening. I mean, they're definitely not happening anytime soon, because I know we've got Moana happening, we've got Lilo and Stitch happening. But yeah, I think Disney, they did well. Pixar, anyway, did well on Inside Out.
Yeah, they're
that highest grossing animated film of all time was a pretty good film. I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
There was definitely space for a second one there. No complaints about that. But yeah, it's interesting to see what Disney do. But
if we go back into Pixar, there's a lot there's a lot coming that we don't need. We've got, is it Toy Story? Is it 6 or 5? 5. We got a new new Incredibles coming. I thought the last Incredibles was naff, to be honest. I thought it was quite
the quality's definitely gone downhill from Pixar and Disney. Disney just rehashing, and
I just think it's so easy for animated films to get sequels. I mean, look, we had Kung Fu Panda last year
because they make money.
Because it makes good money. Got Shrek as well coming out.
Yeah,
but it's gonna make money.
But I think people are catching on now a bit, to a certain extent, that we don't need this.
But I think it doesn't truly work because it's a kids' film.
Yeah.
So I guess these parents don't really care. They just want to take their kid to a film.
Kids' films also do incredibly well on streaming services because parents can just give them to their kids.
He's brain rotting it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go into Shrek 5, but again, there's been things about the animation style on that potentially looks a bit naff. And a lot of people saying, oh, they can predict the plot already. Of sort of, yeah.
I would like to do an episode on just discussing how CGI.
Yeah, I think
was at such a good point about mid 2000s, and now it's just totally decreased in quality, just back to slop.
I mean, there's definitely things going well in animation film. That Flow recently came out. That won the Oscar for best animated film.
Was that the one with the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I am going to see it soon. Apparently it's quite good, and it looks visually beautiful. And The Wild Robot, I think you saw that, didn't you?
That was incredible. That was one of the best films to watch last year, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just, I don't know, it just pulled at your like emotions.
I'd like to watch that. Yeah, I've heard good things. And of course we had Wallace and Gromit as well return with Feathers McGraw.
I think you need to tell everyone how much you love Wallace and Gromit.
I think everyone would agree. Wallace and Gromit is incredible. And yeah, maybe I should I've got a little Feathers McGraw.
I think we need to get that in
for the setup.
Yeah. Don't know, the heat though.
But yeah, but Wallace and Gromit it's just funny. It's really British and it's great, I think. But yeah, moving on. I think we could do again a whole episode discussing these rehash Disney movies, these repeats.
There's so much content out there. There's so much you can do with that.
But anyway, we're going to move on to our main topic of discussion for this episode, Indiana Jones. Just to explain how we're going to do this, we're going to start in chronological order, go through each film, and give our ranking of what we would do it on the 1 to 5. There are 5 films. You may not have seen them all, but
especially the last one.
Yeah, well, we'll get onto that discussion in a bit.
I don't think many people saw that, actually.
Yeah, I don't think they did they?
No.
But yeah, anyway, the first film, The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
What is your ranking for this, to get out the start of the way? What did you give this?
I've got this as second.
Interesting. I've also got this as second.
I thought you would.
Yeah, but honestly, it was a throw between my the one I've got first and second. I think it's a great film. I think the main thing about Indiana Jones' opening scene is probably one of the most iconic opening scenes in cinema history.
Yeah, I asked my girlfriend this. I said, when you think of Indiana Jones, what do you think of? And she was just like, the first scene, Indiana Jones. Because it's just so iconic.
The whole, like, we don't see his face, and then eventually we reveal him with this sort of larger-than-life figure, and then you've got the boulder incident, you've got the sort of the putting the sandbag on the thing, and then he thinks he's okay. Yeah, I think we were saying, me and my girlfriend were saying this, Han Solo and Indiana Jones are very similar characters.
I wanted to talk about this.
But in a way, Indiana Jones is potentially slightly more likeable. He's a bit clumsy, and that's what makes maybe some of his things that don't seem realistic a bit more realistic. Like, he sort of just manages to find a way. He's a bit jammy.
I think just Harrison Ford, he looks so much happier playing Indiana Jones than he does playing Han Solo.
I'd say that's sort of the character as well, but they are very similar characters.
They are, but like, I just
when I see Indiana Jones, you think Harrison Ford straight away because he's just like we forget Indiana Jones. They're funny films.
Yeah,
I feel like people really forget they see him as just this action, but I see him as like action comedies almost.
Yeah, he's really good at this sort of slapstick, not over the top, but like
he's cool.
He's cool without being he's cool in a way you can sort of expect yourself to be cool. Like he's real, and maybe that's what makes him so likable. And again, he's a teacher. Like he's got a normal job. At the end of the day, he's just an archaeologist trying to get stuff for a museum. He's a bit of a nerd.
Yeah, but he's a bit of a nerd, really, isn't he?
Intelligent, and he knows how to handle himself. So he's masculine, but he's also, he's smart. He's more than just an action hero. But in terms of the first film, that opening scene, really good. But the main thing about this is I don't think a scene is wasted in the whole film.
No.
You go from the opening scene, then we go to his... So opening scene, it tells us who he is. He's an archaeologist. He's running away from these tribes. We know what he's about. Straight to his other life, which is a teacher, talking at the university. And then we get the exposition scene, which is about the Nazis and the Ark, why they want to find it, what's going on. And then we're put straight into the quest of him finding eventually the Ark and all that goes along with that. Goes to Marion in Nepal, and we sort of see the antagonist trying to find him, trying to go against him. And every scene we're introduced to something new and a new character. I think the villains are good. Belloc is good because he's sort of he's very similar to Indiana Jones, but he's just sort of he's maybe with less morals. He's fallen to the Nazis, but he's not evil. He wants the same things as Indy. He wants to find the past. He wants to explore the past.
I think we also get one of the best side characters in Marianne in this film as well. I think that really helps it.
Yeah, in terms of the other females in the Indiana Jones,
I think we'll get on to that.
She's the most, to me, well-rounded. She's feminine and masculine, and she's everything, really. She's exactly what you want. She's got her own desire. She doesn't just fall for it, yet she's still caring and needing for Indiana Jones when he needs it. And she's sort of a complex, perfect example of a female character, I think.
And I think we get that straight off the bat from her first scene. Exactly. She's just shotting against some massive Napoleon.
Yeah, she's a badass. And we know from that scene she can handle herself straight away.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, can I just talk about maybe a bit of the context of why Indiana Jones was kind of made?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, as you know, it was made, I think it was a year after Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or maybe second year after. Because pretty much George Lucas, he went on holiday with Steven Spielberg because he kind of thought that Star Wars was going to flop. So he kind of went to try and get away from it all.
He thought the Star was going to flop.
Yeah, and then... So they were both in Hawaii, I think they were, and they both sat on this beach and came up with this idea of what Indiana Jones was going to be. And I'd never heard of this, but it was based off like serial stories.
Yeah, comics and serials sort of.
So that was kind of one of the main forces behind it, and they kind of just sat there on this beach. And
when you say serial, you mean like flipping shreddies?
Yeah. I was a bit confused by that as well. I thought that's a bit strange, really, isn't it? But yeah, and it was also because Steven Spielberg, he wanted to make kind of a Bond film, but at this time they'd only allow British directors to make a Bond film. Okay. So this was kind of
his Bond, his American world traveling, not spy, but like.
And I think maybe we don't get it.
Adventure.
I don't think we get it as much in the first one, but I think in the second one, I think in all of them we get bits of it, don't we?
He doesn't feel like Bond. He feels like something else. But I get what you mean. It's that sort of, masculine protagonist, one guy, adventurer, world-trotting individual. And I think, again, it's just a good, no scenes wasted. The chase scene is one of the best chase scenes. When the Ark's in the vans and they're sort of chasing, that's one of the best chase scenes. You don't look away. Sometimes these action scenes... they can get lost in them.
And we've got another really just iconic scene. You know, when he just shoots the guy who's got a sword. He does all the sword tricks and everything.
Yeah.
And he just shoots him.
Yeah.
But that was because he had like explosive diarrhea on the day.
What do you mean?
So the reason that, you know how there was this massive scene choreographed of it, like Indiana Jones fighting this guy with a sword.
Yeah.
But apparently he was just really ill. He was just hot, ill. So he was like, he just said to Steven Spielberg, just like, can I just shoot him? Because it would just be funny.
And it's just more in character as well, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Because he's got a gun in his pocket. Why would he?
Yeah, he uses what he's got.
Yeah, I think just stuff like that. I think that just encompasses the whole of Indiana Jones as a whole. The kind of comedy of it and just this action hero.
And that just shows that Harrison Ford understood the character very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything more to say about that? I think it's just... It's almost a perfect film.
It's a good time, isn't it?
And it's hard to not give it my number one, but when we get to the next one that's number one, I think maybe we can give our reasons for why we think it's I don't know for you, but is it close between the...
No.
It's not close.
It's not. But I think that shows how good
okay,
number one is.
Yeah, I think it's very close.
I understand why you think that.
I think
that's
this
fine.
is technically the best film.
Probably.
I think it's not a waste of seeing, as I keep saying, and it's just everything's done right. I think it's, but that just shows that even if everything's done right, there still can be a better film. But anyway, moving on to the second film, which is of course Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. What ranking did you give this one? I give it 3.
Okay. I give it 4.
4.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so what did you think of this film? Obviously not as good as me, if you put it 4.
It's a bit racist, isn't it?
It plays on a lot of stereotypes, so I'll give you that. Yeah, it's of the time.
Yeah.
But like,
there's some good stuff in it.
There's a lot of problematic stuff, and interesting, this is actually a prequel. Many people might not know this. The first one, I believe, is set in
36,
and this one's set in 1935.
Also, I'd like to put this out. How's he not die?
Yeah, so obviously he's in that. I thought the opening scene's pretty good.
You know what? The opening scene is. I love that about this film.
Yeah,
it's one of the best parts about it. But you know what? That part is great. It kind of just goes downhill from there, to be honest.
Again, I wouldn't say I think there's great parts of this film and there's not so great parts of this film, and it just sort of, it's unique, and to me that's what keeps it a third. It's definitely got something. That's
the only thing I would say. It's different.
It's different.
It's darker.
It's completely different to all the other films.
This traumatized me as a kid.
Yeah, it is crazy. You've got a guy ripping out someone's heart.
When they're literally lowering them in a cave into lava.
You've got a starving villager taking their children.
There's like a cave just full of slave children.
Yeah, it's like the Timu cave. Like
it's mad though, isn't it?
It's crazy.
I know this was. I know he always said he wanted to go darker, and he kind of did that a bit with Empire Strikes Back, but he didn't go this dark, did he?
No, and I think there was debate about this film, the age rating at the time, about what it potentially should
I think I heard about this.
I think in the end maybe it was.
Should I have a look what it is?
I don't know what it was in the end, but I know there was a debate. Potentially they were trying to get it PG, but it couldn't be because of certain things. Or it'd be different in America in terms of
I can't get
the right film rating. I'll search it. Anyway, anything else you thought about the film?
Yeah, a bit racist. Probably should have died, but I do also kind of like that he didn't die because it's kind of wacky at the same time. Because it's kind of like, it's cool. He jumped out of a plane.
Yeah, I mean that has got to be. I think for me, when you look at, things in the series, what unrealistic and realistic. Okay, of course.
I don't know. I've always thought these should die. I can't remember what it was.
Of course, in the first one, there's not really an Ark of the Covenant that can burn people's eyes off. But what it does very well is it plays on religion, which is a real thing people believe in.
Yeah.
And it sort of brings that myth into real life, and it feels like it could happen. It feels realistic in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, whereas something like jumping out of a plane and on an inflatable boat, going down down a mountain, missing every tree.
Some of the CGI looks awful in that as well.
Landing in a river is like the most unbelievable stuff ever, and there's not even like, I don't really know how to quantify it, but you just cannot really explain that as being realistic, and it's just a bit silly.
The thing,
I get what they're doing. They're trying to go over the top stunt, but
all I'd say, we'll give it props. But what's that? Is it Willie? That's her name. So annoying. I mean,
she's the most annoying character in the series.
But then you get Short Round.
Yeah.
But it almost balances it out. But you kind of wish you just had Short Round. Because you get to see that his kind of like father figure of Indy.
Honestly,
which I think's good.
This whole film could have been a film about Willie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's just there screaming. And any kind of kind of romance it just feels so forced.
Why did there have to be Willie in this film? What does she actually do?
She didn't do anything.
There's one scene that's like, okay, the one scene I give it is like when they're sort of like deciding if they're going to sleep with each other. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Funny. Apart from that, she's got no depth. She just screams. They try and have a conversation at one point by the elephant. I'm trying to listen to what Short Round Indiana Jones are saying, and she's just screaming. It's annoying. Honestly, one of the worst characters. It's got to be the worst character in the whole series.
Just from sheer annoying.
She's so annoying. But I do like the relationship between Short Round and Indiana Jones.
I do wish we saw him again. I feel like we'll get onto this in a bit, but he should have been in Dial of Destiny.
Potentially,
or something. I don't know. That's probably just my nostalgia speaking, but
no, I get that. I mean, we saw is it Ki Kwan is his name?
Yeah,
who the actor of Short Round. He's done well. He won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. They could have easily put him in the new film and done something with him, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, the film just feels a bit all over the place in a way, but then it's still got that unique charm of like, it feels separate. And it's got good elements. It's got good story elements in. It's got good action scenes. I still like it. I still think it's a good film. It's just got a lot of holes, I think. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the third film. The Last Crusade. What have you given this?
Come on.
1?
Yeah. Let's be honest here. I think it's clear.
I don't think it's as clear as you're saying it is. To me, it was a close one.
Just Sean Connery.
Yeah?
It's just... So he's the best side character in all of it. Yeah. The portrait.
And this is at the core of the film, the parental relationship between Indiana Jones and his dad. We understand why. It starts with that flashback. We understand what he was like as a child.
I would say every single Indiana Jones film... Well, I think... No. Because in the fourth one, it doesn't really have an opening, does it? It has that they're just like driving in the car. There's like
the fourth one does have an open. It's the fridge sequence.
I guess,
but good opening.
But it's quite a long opening. I'm trying to think. Yeah,
but that is the opening sequence.
Yeah, sure.
We'll move on to that. Yeah, I just think that's at the core. It starts with that first flashback, and although that train scene itself is such a good scene. We see why he's scared of snakes. We see actually Harrison Ford gets a cut on his lip from the whip when he turns himself blind. That's a real scar that Harrison Ford has, so that was smart of them.
Oh, is it? That's good.
Yeah, and then we see him go home to his father and tells him to count in Greek. He doesn't really care what he's saying. Even though he's trying to impress his dad, we can see that he's trying to impress his dad, but his dad is here on this diary writing about the Grail. We can see at the very start that's about his life, and then we flash forward to the future. Indy's doing the same thing, fighting for a artifact, and it follows the same. It's very
It's very similar to the first one.
If the second one was way different, this is definitely a return to form.
Well, Stephen Spielberg did say the reason they came back to do a third after the second one was because people didn't really appreciate the second one, didn't really like it, so they kind of felt like they had to go do this one to really seal the deal and make it successful, I guess.
If the first one's sort of the main one, and then the Temple of Doom is potentially a sort of origin story, not origin story because that'd be a bit of a stretch to call it that.
Some more context of the character,
character study. The third one's definitely a sequel, or it feels like a sequel to the first one.
Well, to be honest, it feels like the ending of the trilogy. It feels like it's a good ending, isn't it? It's like when that final shot and they're just going off into the sun. It's just
that ending, But again, so much humour from Sean Connery in this film. It's generally just very funny, and that interaction between each of us is very good.
It's like, I think that my favourite one was when I think they were on the plane and he shoots the back of the plane. He's like, they got us, Cindy. They got us. It's just like
so good. Yeah, honestly, like I love it, and their relationship. It's right until the end. We see his dad gets shot, and he has to go get the Grail, and it ends with Indy reaching for the Grail, and his dad tells him, "Don't go for it," even though this is the thing that he's been wasting all his life for, looking for all his life. But it's all right because he's found it in his son. He's found what he was truly missing when he was searching for the Grail, which was his relationship with his son, and he's found that in this adventure that he got. Yeah, and I like the incorporation again of the Nazis here.
We get Hitler appearance, don't we?
That famous moment.
That's funny as well.
Book, sorry, and they
signs the book.
Signs the book. Just like and I think the lady character in this is quite good. She's a different.
She then portrays him.
Dr. Snyder is. She's sort of you sort of know she can try. She does look like a Nazi, to be fair to her. Yeah. The actor's actually Irish. She looks like the most Nazi.
She does look.
But and it's just a great ending. And then they go off into the sunset. Those three characters. And you think that's the end? Do you think that's the end of the Indiana Jones series? What a great idea. I will say this has like every chase scene possible in it. If they anything they missed out from the other two films, okay, so they love a chase in Indiana Jones. We had the car chase in the first one, which was probably maybe the best still. Yeah. We had a minecart chase.
That one's good.
In the Temple. Another thing that was unique and fun about the second one. Third one, we get a blimp. We get boats. We got
the one in Venice.
We get
the dog fight as well.
We get horses versus tanks again, or tank sort of chase, cars, everything really. Everything chase. We get a blimp.
The blimp's
plane chase. Yeah, everything. But honestly, I just think the thing that puts it over for me for the first one is the emotional aspect, the relation to the father. Yeah. If we return to ranking, that's the thing that's hit.
We get the real connection, don't we?
You feel the real connection with the character, and potentially without the first one, you don't feel the same with the third one. That's what I'm saying. It's just as important, but I think, I think again, it's just a top tier film, and that's why I'd give it my number one film, even if I think the first one could be objectively better.
Yeah.
But then we move on to the more modern elements, modern entries of the series. 2008's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. What do we think of this one? Where did you rank?
I put this third.
Okay,
which is,
that's fair enough, I guess.
But I'd say a bit high. But
I put this fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth one in the series and the fourth one in my list. What did you think of this one? Before you say anything, I think you're a bit confused on the opening scene. I think the opening scene, the Russians, they go back to the Ark of the Covenant.
Forget that. It's quite long. That's only why I think that.
Maybe it's quite long, but I still think it's quite good. They go back to the Ark of the Covenant. We see sort of the aftermath of Indy and what he's done.
Yeah.
But we don't see normally. Like at the end of the first one, we don't know what's happened to the Ark. We know it's just gone in a secure facility, but we don't know what's truly happened to it.
We go from the Germans to the Russians, and then
and then.
Can I say something? I'm going to out myself a bit here. I never knew, the Russian woman. Yeah. I never knew that was Cate Blanchett.
Yeah, I did.
I only found that out yesterday.
I genuinely think she's quite good in it. I think she does a good job.
I actually think she's quite a good villain.
You watched this yesterday, did you?
Yeah.
So what did you think of? What did you think of it? It's fresh off the memory, because I haven't seen this in years actually.
It's good. Like I don't know. There's parts that I don't like. Like. Is it Muck? His name is
Muck. He's Muck.
Well, he is. I don't know. He's
annoying. He's a Willy, isn't he? He's not as bad as Willy, but he's bordering on.
You've got this
annoying teenage rebellion.
And then you got Bet365 bloke as well.
Ray Winston. Yeah. He's a bit annoying as well.
Yeah.
Mac.
So I think this was the thing, because considering it's kind of like a revamped film almost, like would have been like 20 years after, surely. Might be wrong.
So I think the last one came out in 1989 and this came out in 2008. So yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Years.
We kind of get a whole fresh new cast.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel right.
We get Marion again.
Yeah.
Sort of feels like not a remake, but like when they return to like the character.
Yeah.
Well, we don't see his dad, obviously. Even though Sean Connery was alive.
He was alive at that point. I think they did try to get him back, but he was retired by then.
They killed him off screen on this. Yeah. And then we get Marion. She comes back, which is, again, good, but the jokes don't land the same way for me. Because he's older, again, everything just feels a bit more unrealistic.
Well,
a bit far-fetched.
I don't think it is, though. I think this is the borderline. Because I think he still looks good. There's a lot of action scenes where he still looks like... He looks older, but he still looks like he's capable.
Yeah, but they're still playing on this thing like he's old. No, it's not like... Okay, so in Top Gun Maverick's old, but there's never the thing like, oh, he's past it, is it?
No.
No one ever says that about him. In this film, there is...
The only time in it, they question him. They say, oh, what did you do in the war? And stuff like this. And they kind of question, like, just this old guy.
Yeah. But, like, Mutt is always like, old-timer, like, stuff like this. There is a play on the fact he's old.
But it's interesting to say
he's not
that.
actually as old as he is the next one, obviously.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting to say that because pretty much, apparently, they didn't want to go down this kind of old man route. But apparently, Harrison Ford himself asked for this kind of old man route.
Yeah.
Which makes me think he thought this was going to be his last one.
Yeah, probably.
Because...
Until
you'd want to ask for, like... Because it's funny that he's old.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. Which I don't mind that, because I think, for me, it should have been the last one. Because it's like a borderline of, okay, you could probably still do this. It might be a bit of a stretch. You might have to take a long nap after this.
Yeah.
But, like, it's doable.
I'm just thinking, like, some of the CGI is terrible. There's one scene where Mutt is swinging on ropes, in jungle ropes, like he's a monkey with the monkeys. That would not happen in the original trilogy. It certainly wouldn't happen in Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Also,
you've got some outrageous ant scene where they all build up. You've got the boat scene where it flings back up from the... It's just all real. If the second film took it a bit too far with the boat scene, this builds on this and throws that out the window, doesn't it? To me, that's why it's worse than Temple of Doom. Am I convincing you?
No, yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah.
No, but I kind of do like the atmosphere of this film. Like, I do like the old man indie in a way. Like I think that's what I enjoyed about it, because it's a bit different.
I don't know if I like the whole alien thing route it went down either. I like the fact that in the first three they played on religious artifacts because it felt more grounded and more... it just felt more grounded to me.
I would say this was kind of a period of its time though, because think about in
sci-fi
the 50s and the 60s, everyone was talking about aliens and the the existence of aliens.
Whereas the 30s was more about like artifacts, Nazis, digging up sort of old things.
So that's all I'd say. I feel like it's more...
I get that. That makes sense when you put it like that. But for me...
Apparently Spielberg was very against aliens, but he got turned around in the end and he got convinced to do it. Apparently he just didn't want to do anything more alien.
Yeah, I get that. He's done a lot of things alien, hasn't he? E.T.
Yeah. I don't know. There's parts of it I don't like, and I think it's a bit complicated and a bit, I don't know, it's a bit too much at points.
Again, there's good parts. So I like the opening scene, but to me, it's not great.
I do. A lot of people hate on the fridge thing.
It's unrealistic, but it's one of them where you're like, it's like the boat thing. Oh, that could happen, It's really, really impossible. But
it's funny though, isn't it? He survived a nuclear blast.
Whereas some of the things, like in the film, you're just like, that's not going to happen.
But it does kind of cover its back, because it says like it says the fridge, it says lead lining and stuff like that. So it does clearly try cover its back.
I think it's just a cool scene. It's again very of the time. But yeah, I think that we both probably agree it's not the best film, but still nice elements of it. Have I convinced you to move that down your ranking? Or?
I feel stronger about it, but I'm going to stick with what I am.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think, so we'll move on to the last film. And obviously now, if you haven't been counting, this would be the last film in the series and the last film in both of our rankings.
And shock, it's last, unfortunately.
Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. So what did you think of this film? 2023, this came out. My first thing I want to say is, wasn't needed. I don't think it was needed at all.
I don't know.
How old is Harrison Ford now?
He's got to be 79. 79,
I
surely?
think he's older than that. Harrison Ford's 82. So yeah, he might have been 79 when this film got come out. And yeah, I just think
it looks like...
Again, in many ways, I actually think it probably is better than the fourth one because
it's probably tighter.
The story is a lot tighter.
Yeah.
The opening scene's pretty good with the train.
You know what? I remember being at cinema and I watched that first 15 minutes. I was like, that was so good. That was sick.
Again, another great opening scene.
I feel every single Indiana Jones just has an amazing opening scene. You've got the first one, iconic. Second one, pretty good. Like a bit James Bondy, where they got that standoff with the poison and all that. Third one, what's the third one?
Train flashback scene.
Train flashback with young Indy. Fourth one, you've got the fridge and all, they're in that warehouse fighting over that alien or whatever. Yeah. And this one, you got they're at some German base.
Yeah, again, it's good.
It's good.
I just think, again, it's decent, but I think the main problem is that Indiana Jones is really old, and
you can tell.
I don't think the side character, what's her name?
I know her name, but I don't know the character's name.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. Yeah. I don't think we've done enough good in watching this film. I don't know. I've only seen it in the cinema.
I've seen it twice.
So you've seen it twice, yeah. But
practically an expert. Not many people have watched it
that long ago. But to me, the main thing, I didn't see it that long ago. Yeah, it's not very memorable.
I can't think of much from. Thought they fucking time travelled.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Again, Aliens, wasn't as fan of that. Time travel.
This feels really far fetched.
Time travel, I'm not a fan of. I feel like Aliens, time travel, they're quick little fixes to things, aren't they? They're like easy things to do, but you can do them wrong if you don't do them properly. And it's just, to me, I'm just not a fan of that.
No.
Yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridge characters was called Helena, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't actually hate her as much as does this whole thing about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people. She wasn't as bad as these
critical.
Everyone was seeing mate. Honestly, I think he wanted her dead.
She was not that bad. She was funny on some.
But the whole film wasn't funny.
She was definitely better than Willie.
Oh God, yeah. But yeah, I just think she really wasn't as bad. And
Mads Mikkelsen did what Mads Mikkelsen does and was pretty good villain, but again, he just sort of felt like a parody version of himself in it.
Yeah, it was an Eve on that seat trying to time travel back to the glory days.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
The plot for me is a bit off. The plot for me is, I think, in terms of storytelling and plot, in terms of as an actual film, directed wise, and how it looks and how it feels, I think in many ways it probably is a bit tighter and better than Kingdom of Crystal Skull. But the plot is a bit. I don't like the plot.
I'd also like a lot of the action. It has to be it's not Indiana Jones fighting, is it? It has to be there's one, he's on a horse.
Yeah.
One, he's on a tuk-tuk.
Everything's sort of an excuse to get out of everything and
Yeah. Because they want to get him in, but they know he can't do the demanding stuff full on scrapping someone or,
I mean, it's got a nice wholesome ending with him getting back to...
I actually quite like the ending, and they walk off and the hat's on the edge, I think it is. And I thought,
I go I know trilogies are the go-to thing in these things, telling a story, but if there's stuff there, I'm happy to see something else.
Oh, yeah.
I just think these last two, they felt like DLC add-ons. They didn't.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. DLC.
That's because of his age, and it's just less believable, or just the direction they got. But they just felt like add-ons, and add-ons can be good aspects of it, but almost felt like the story was done and then we added on.
But like you said, the add-on, I mean, the age thing, I thought he was probably just about at the cut-off limit back in 2008.
Yeah.
So
he was about 60 then.
Yeah. So when we go to 2023.
Yeah.
It's
15 years later, Gil's Hedge.
Yeah. This is, we won't see the Indiana Jones franchise for at least another 20 years. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. 10. Surely, come on, they'll remake it. You can't seriously think that they're remaking Harry Potter. That finished in 2012. They literally gave it like 10, just over 10 years to develop.
See, they did make an Indiana Jones Young Chronicles series, TV show series.
Yeah,
I've heard that is pretty good. I think I've seen a few episodes like myself, and it's pretty decent. And I don't mind stuff like that if you do it correctly. But again, it's like Star Wars. We don't need to keep making stuff that's going to tarnish what was already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not right.
So yeah, should we just go down our official ranking?
Yeah.
So at 5, we both got
Dino Destiny.
At 4, you've got Temple of Doom. There's your
whoa.
You got.
I've got Temple of Doom.
And I've got Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
The titles.
The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Okay, it's better than Dying of Destiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So then 3rd, Temple of Doom for me, and got 1 for you, Crystal Skull. 2nd, we've both got Raiders of the Lost Ark, and 1st, we've got Last Crusade.
Okay. So should we? I've got how much they all made here. Should we see if
Maybe I could try and guess because I haven't really got a clue.
Okay. First of all, guess how much Indiana Jones made as a whole, like from other films.
Just movies.
Just movies.
Billion? Maybe more?
More.
2 billion.
It made 2.3.
Okay,
So now try kind of work it out in your head. So Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'll tell you the
budget. This is can't get a sort of a comparison point without utilising like figures.
I'll tell you the budget of it. So the first one the budget was 20 million.
Okay, so that puts thing in 200 mil?
More.
300?
367 million.
Pretty good. That is a hefty profit return.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm guessing the second one made more. I'd say it probably made, because the bit of controversy around probably if it was suitable for children, the second one made a bit less.
Made a bit less. Not a lot. 333 million. And that was on a budget of 28 million. So still, good profit.
I'd actually say the last one probably made the most out of those 3 then.
What is it?
That's correct. So now the original trilogy.
Yeah.
400?
474 million.
Yeah, so Sean Connery.
Yeah. Budget 48 million.
That is a good profit return.
Yeah. This is where, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That's going to be high budget because there's a lot of CGI and stuff. Maybe not as high as today's standards, so it's still 2008, like maybe 100 or 200 mil budget.
That's quite a big gap, 100 or 200 mil.
200.
185.
Okay. Fair enough. Pretty close. And it probably made, I reckon it still made good money.
Yeah, it did.
Because this was like, Last Crusade, you're coming off a great trilogy. I'd say it probably made 600 million.
It made 790 million. This did very well.
Yeah. Dial of Destiny, I know it didn't do that well, but I wonder why that is.
I want you to guess the how much it made first.
400?
A little less.
Less?
383. Do you know what the budget was?
300.
That's fucking horrific.
It's not great, is it? I mean, it still made profit, whether it made profit with marketing and everything like this. And I'm pretty sure it probably ended on Disney Plus pretty quickly after that. Yeah. Why did that do so badly? I think people just knew it wasn't going to be great.
The thing is, I spoke to people who I thought would go see Indiana Jones and they just weren't bothered.
Because you got to think, between 2008 and 1989, that's 19 years. Mm-hmm. Between 2008 and 2023, it's 15 years. Hefty gap again.
Yeah.
You'd think the appetite would be wet for more Indiana Jones, but clearly wasn't, was it?
Yeah.
I was always looking forward to it, but then actually the closer and closer it got to the film, the more
that came out
and trailers, the more I was less excited.
You were like, oh no, please no.
But yeah, again, it wasn't terrible, but we didn't need it in my opinion. And that's Indiana Jones. I think, again, a great franchise, great acting, proper Hollywood, especially those first 3 films.
They're classics, aren't they?
Shout out to the 4. First 3 are absolute classics. The amount of time you see them on TV, they're just great films. All 3 of them. To me, I think that is a hot take to put that above Temple of Doom, because I think it's just a more enjoyable film.
Yeah,
but it's movies, it's opinion, and that's what this podcast is about. But yeah,
right wing opinions.
I don't know about that.
I've heard what you say, mate.
Well, we'll leave that for off the podcast. Anyway, thank you for listening. Is that we want to sign off here?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was good.
I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. I don't know when the next episode will be coming out, but there will be a next episode.
And what are we doing next?
I don't know. What are we doing next?
I was thinking maybe war films.
War films, yeah, or who knows, Lord of the Rings, potentially. And we're open to suggestions.
That'd be like a 3-hour podcast. Do you realise that? We'd have to do like an hour for each film.
Yeah, maybe we'll skip that. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you guys. It's out from me. See ya. Thank you.
Bye bye.